In this video, we'll look at some more basic concepts, and especially pertaining to the gap between graphs. I'll do that in a bit more detail. So if you have parallel lines, they've got the same gradient. If you've got perpendicular lines, the gradients are the opposite way around and the sign is changed. And so if the gradient of this was 2 over 3, then the gradient of this line would be minus 3 over 2. The way you prove lines are perpendicular, is by timesing them together, and they should equal minus 1. If they talk about roots, that's just another word for x-intercept or x-intersection point or anything like that. And then if there's a gap between graphs, all that you do is you don't freak out. You just take the tall graph and you minus the short graph, and then simplify and ask yourself which one of these three things were they interested in. And so if you've got the equation, let's just say f equals negative x squared plus 2x plus 3, and you've got a straight line graph that's minus x plus 2. And they say to you, what is the gap? Well, we'll look at what are the different ways I could ask it. So if I see that there's a gap, let's just do this for starters. Who's taller at m and n? It would be m is higher up, so it's a parabola. So in brackets, I'll have the parabola equation minus, in brackets, the straight line equation. And that simplified will just give me that answer. And so any time that you've got a gap between graphs, often there'll be a whole long life story happening beforehand. This is perpendicular, it's parallel to the y-axis, all this kind of stuff. Anytime that you see a gap, just go tall minus short, and once you've simplified, ask yourself these three questions. Did they provide the gap? So did they tell us mn is 8? And then go backwards and work out the length of, let's call that a t at the x-axis. Work out the length of OT. Did they give me mn and say it was 8? Because then I just sub an 8 here, and I can take it all across and factorize. Did they hint at the x value? So did they said OT is 6 units? Because then they've hinted that that x is 6 units, so I must put 6 in everywhere. Be careful if this was on the other side and they said something like OP is 2 units. Then what you'd have to be subbing in would be minus 2 because it's on that side. So just be careful of that trick. Or at its toughest, although it's not too bad, did they ask what is the min or maximum value that mn will ever be? And what I like to do is think of this as if it's a parabola. So it's not this parabola, it's not this straight line, it's just an expression, but think of it like it's a parabola. Then you'd see, oh, okay, it's sad. And so if I do want the maximum length of mn, then all I need to do is just work out the turning point. And I'll go back to the other video where we did minus b over 2a. So minus 3 over 2a, that's just 3 over 2. And then I can sub that back into the mn expression because I'm trying to work out the max of mn. So don't sub it back into the parabola. And that's how to turn these questions, which are often for 5 marks, into something really palatable. When there's a gap, tall minus short, ask which option they're dealing with or giving us, and then charge ahead from there. And then very quickly, if you see something like f of x minus 3 plus 4, what comes out of the bracket of x minus 3, it would be plus 3. And so that just means it's 3 units to the right. And the plus 4 just means up 4. It's just gone up 4. And so if you had a turning point originally that was 7, 10, and you see this transformation, then all I'll do is I'd say, okay, that's just minus 5, and so the x is going to minus 5, and the y is just going to minus 1. And so I'll go to this x, and I'll minus 5. It takes me to a new turning point of 2, and the y value has gone down by 1, so it's a 9. Just to write it in turning point form just for practice from our last video. If the x turning point was 2, then your bracket would be x minus 2 squared. And if your y turning point was 9, you'd just say 9. And then lastly, range and domain. My sister's name is Ray. And so range goes with y. And it's just going from the lowest to the highest value. And so in this picture, if you said to me, what is the range? I would have to work out the turning point of this graph. So I've done it for you. It's 1 and 4. And so the range for this parabola would be y is less than or equal to 4, because 4 is the highest it goes and the whole graph is below it. And there's not an asymptote, so it can equal minus 4. If you said to me, what's a domain? My dog's name is Dexter. So domain goes with x. And like I've said here, most graphs, your domain is simply just going to be XER. It's just everywhere. The one exception is the hyperbola, where you'd still say XER, but you'd say x can't equal whatever the x asymptote is. So if you're stuck in an exam, just domain is pretty much always XER. What is it for this one? No surprise, it's XER, which just means an element of the real number, which in English just means everywhere. Why is that? Because the x values don't stop at the x intercepts, they go on forever, and this way the x's don't stop there, they go on forever, so they're just going everywhere. I hope that you found this video helpful, especially as it pertained to this gap. If it was useful, please like the video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with your friends.